Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2017 horror movie It Comes at Night. And this is a film that I didn't watch when it came out initially. And there was a fairly specific reason for that. And essentially when this film came out it was pretty well hyped up beforehand. It had this huge marketing campaign, trying to sell it as this really scary horror movie, and then it came out and like pretty much every review that I saw was kind of like, what's this? What are you giving us here? This is not what we were sold. And it's one of those movies, a bit similar to Hereditary that's just been released, that critics generally speaking are loving, but audience members are fighting back against because they feel like they were missold something. And I think that is, as much, I really enjoyed Hereditary, but I think that is its major problem, is the studio have missold it to audience members. And it's not exactly what it says on the tin, that movie, even though it is very good. So I thought, well, I wonder if this film's the same, It Comes at Night. I wonder if this is a bit similar to Hereditary, where audience members kind of didn't like it because it was missold to them. But it's actually a good movie at the core of it. So I thought, I'm going to give this one a go now, see what we think. And I have to say, guys, this is different to Hereditary in the sense of I agree with the audience here on this movie. It's a terribly missold movie, this. But I do have to say that this film is beautifully made, beautifully shot. It's directed by, let's have a look, Trey Edward Schultz, and stars Joel Edgerton. And like I say, it is filmed beautifully. It looks great, and the acting throughout this movie by everybody, especially Joel Edgerton, is top-notch stuff. The film feels very claustrophobic, very enclosed. It does make you feel uncomfortable when you're watching it. So the look and feel of this movie is good. However, the content isn't. It's not interesting enough, and it's certainly not scary enough. And this film focuses on a family, Joel Edgerton's family. They're living in this house, boarded up house, out in the woods somewhere. And you don't know what's going on, but it's clear there's been some kind of outbreak, some disease. And at the beginning of the film you see them bury a family member who's been infected by this disease, and then, but you don't know what's happened. You don't know what this disease is, how it happened, what's the result of it, etc., etc. Early on in the movie, there's a break-in into the house, and he stops the break-in, Joel Edgerton, and he ties the guy up to a tree. And upon interrogating him, he finds out that this guy was just looking for supplies for his young family. He's got a wife and a young son. And Joel Edgerton agrees to help them. And he brings them back to their house. And they shack up together, basically. Get this pact going, where they'll support each other and etc, etc. And that's it. Genuinely, that's it. So disappointing, this, guys. It really, really is. The only real horror that you get in this movie is through dream sequences from Travis, Joel Edgerton's son. He's having these dream sequences constantly. Now, in movies you can usually forgive one or even two dream sequences. It's a cheap tactic. But this film is absolutely littered with them, and it gets to the point where you just don't trust anything that you see that's remotely horrific. You don't trust it to not be a dream sequence, and generally speaking they always are dream sequences. Such a poor creative choice, in my opinion. Nothing really significant happens. You see in the trailer and you see in the promotional stuff this dog barking out into the woods as if there's something coming for them in the night. Well, forget it, guys. It Comes at Night. There's nothing coming for them, because you don't see anything coming for them. And that's not, well, you could consider that a spoiler if you've not seen the film, but I don't want you to be disappointed, guys. Nothing's coming for them. It's a metaphor, basically, that what comes for them at night, I don't know. the depths of human despair. Who knows what the director means, but there's clearly a meaning here, and if you want to sit and analyse it, and I'm not going to try, and I've watched a couple of videos on YouTube of people doing it, and they've analysed it, but they've been hypercritical of it too, this film, in a sense of it tries to be too clever in what it's doing, this film, and ultimately what they give you is nothing to be frightened of in this movie. Now, again, I don't put the full blame of that on the filmmakers here. I think what he's had a very clear vision, this director. I think he's made some poor creative choices, i.e. the dream sequences, but he's had a very clear vision of what he wants to make, and I think the studio again have mishandled it. It's almost like the critics have said, yeah, we like this film, well done, and then the studio's like, but audience members are a bit too thick to get what this film is really, so we'll sell it as this really scary film, and then we'll get audiences in for the first weekend and then see where we go from there. No. And the audience have sort of said, screw you, we don't like it, we don't, they don't ever seem to learn the lesson, studios. I think if they'd have properly promoted this film for what it is, which essentially is a pretty taut and tense thriller, with some horror elements sprinkled in occasionally, and promoted it correctly, I think audiences have been a bit more forgiving. However, that's not what they did, so that's why you will see reviews of this littered all over YouTube and the internet of critics, real people, real critics if you like, the rank and file that go to the cinema to watch these movies, and not the other reviewers from newspapers and media outlets that they're not keen on this film, and it's clearly because it's been missold. So there you go, guys. I have to say, I was hoping that this would be on par with Hereditary in a sense of a film that was missold, but actually there's a real fantastic film at the core of it. But I don't think there is. I think this is a pretty dull film that looks beautifully, and there's some really good things going on in here. The director's obviously got talent. But I think they made some poor creative choices here, and they sold us a film that isn't what it says on the tin. It comes at night, guys. Nothing comes to them at night. Really disappointed with this film, but it's a 6 out of 10 because it's not a bad film. It looks good, and if you actually look at what this film is, and strip it down to actually what this film is, it's there is some quality in here. It's just not scary, guys. It's not really a scary film at all. There's some shocking things happening here, but it's more about the human condition and the depth that humans will go to when they're in these sort of situations, rather than any tangible horror. So there you go, guys. It comes at night. Bit of a disappointment. So thank you very much for watching.